Hello, welcome back to another edition of Road Talk with Cade. Today in my life is June 6th, 2025. As we discussed in episode number 32, I have been traveling nonstop for work since taking over my new role. The contents of this episode take place over Memorial Day weekend, 2025. With the constant travel in my life, I did not have a place in mind to take a long weekend vacation. I really have little interest in going to any of these places I have to regularly go for work, which eliminates everything within driving distance from me. So instead of going somewhere else, I have decided to try new things around the town I have called home for the last year and a half, a little AVL Staycation, if you will. I think everyone has experienced the stagnation of going to the same places over and over again. Since moving to Asheville, I have developed a few regular spots that I consider to be my places, whether it's my pizza place, hiking trails, or my local watering holes where I down a couple pints every so often. I have fallen into a fairly consistent routine with the places I go or the things that I do around the city of Asheville. With a 3-day weekend in front of me, I thought it was perfect time to try out some new places, to see some parts of town that I have either neglected or haven't made time to explore since moving here. The adventure started after work on Friday. Having a free afternoon and nowhere to be, why not start the adventure a day early? The main purpose of this visit was to get my 2 miles worth of steps in for the day, as well as take in some local architecture that is on the campus of Mars Hill University. To start my wandering, I spent some time walking on the Dr. W. Otis Duck exercise trail that extends through campus. Unlike most of my hikes, this paved trail allowed me to see the small football field and some of the other university's sports complexes. I didn't spend too much time on the trail, as the UV rating, being at an 8, is a tad higher than I would prefer for my frail skin. I worked my way back to campus to stare at some old buildings. The first building that caught my eye was Spillman Hall, which is described in the book I am reading as a building with a broad, gambrel roof and dormers. The large cottage-style building with an enclosed wraparound porch is the perfect spot to sit and read a book. Right next to Spillman Hall is the Owen Theater. Originally built as the Mars Hill Baptist Church, the building was renovated by the university in 1968. In the gabled entrance sits a large stained glass window, which behind it, on the roof, sits a cupola, tying the building together nicely. The main building I was interested in seeing on campus was the Estella Nissen Motique building, which my book describes best as a striking little building of expressive stonework, with large irregular stones arranged to resemble dry-laid work. Sadly, the quad in the front of the building is currently closed due to construction on campus, so I can only show you the back of the building. However, I think the back of the building does more than enough to justify the sentence from above. This small university is perched comfortably in the valley between mountains, creating a secluded but welcoming environment for students as well as tourists to enjoy the fresh mountain air that the Blue Ridge Mountains are known for. Exploring college campuses has become a common theme on my travels. When I was in school at UWEC, my main objective was to be on school property for as little time as possible. So it is kind of odd that now I stop on random college campuses for no particular reason other than to walk around. For one, I think I'm searching for some sort of college experience that I didn't get myself. Second, universities are one of the few places where historical architecture is well protected, so lots of great buildings are available for me to stare at. Lastly, they are some of the few areas in the United States that are built mainly for foot traffic. Not really important, but observations that I tied together on my walk around the small university. After my hike, I stopped at the Mars Theater Brewing Company, on the main business strip in town, right off campus. I didn't know much about the brewery or the environment I'd find myself inside. All I knew was it was in my book of local breweries that I still need to check off. We are at roughly 23 out of 45 in town. With the goal of hitting them all, I have a lot of work left to do before I leave. Upon entering the building, I was shocked at the size of the interior. With the small facade, I didn't think the inside would nearly be the size it was. Being that it was originally an old theater, it makes sense that it was rather large. And to be fair to myself, you enter from the top of the hill, so the entire building is basically below street level. The owner used the layout of the theater to create a unique experience inside. With a screen and stage at the front of the theater, the place regularly plays movies as well as small musical concerts. 1 part movie theater, 1 part brewery, makes for an interesting pairing. The sloped floor allows for an arrangement of movie theater row seating, as well as raised platform areas to enjoy your beverages. Definitely a place I will be returning after my experience inside the building. After devouring some fine crafted stouts, I retired back to my apartment for the night to meal prep for my extended stay, which for this wonderful Memorial Day weekend means making brats and Italian sausages on the grill, to be paired with baked potatoes, sautéed red onions, and sautéed mushrooms. A hearty meal to carry me through the weekend without breaking my bank account. As the ever-dooming thing called life hit me with 2 unexpected expenses in the month of May, just a week after booking my flight to Munich for Oktoberfest this fall, so let's just say it's been an expensive month. To start Saturday's festivities, I woke up at 6:30 and was out of the door by 7 a.m. to drive roughly an hour and a half northeast to Linville Gorge Wilderness Area, a place my dad has been telling me to go since I moved here. The hike I had planned was the Table Rock Loop, which is a little over 4 miles of trail. On my journey to the trail, the road went from asphalt to gravel. The farther I got into the wilderness area, the rougher the gravel got. There were a few holes in the road that I was worried I would either bottom out the Jetta, or worse, slide off the side of the mountain. But after 10 miles of degrading gravel roads, I found the trailhead, with cars already filling up most of the parking spots. Now, knowing me, I was not totally prepared for the hike that I was about to endure. Having a lack of knowledge of the mountain I was on, or the direction I was supposed to start. I tried to plan ahead, but the route that I planned on following did not download to my phone like I thought it did. So with no cell service, I had to wing it. The adventure started with me hiking down the right trail. I took a wrong turn at the first intersection, adding roughly an extra mile to my journey. After backtracking to the first intersection, I found the right way again, to get a half mile down the right trail, to find a dead end. The road was closed by downed trees from last fall's storm. So I backtracked to the trailhead, to go the other way to the top of the mountain. Now that I was finally ascending in elevation, we made some real progress. I hiked to the summit of Table Rock Mountain, which overlooks the Linville Gorge. In the video I show you, you can see damn near everything from here. To the southeast, you can just barely see the skyscrapers of Charlotte some 60-odd miles away. Other mountaintop peaks you can see are Mount Mitchell, Grandfather Mountain, and the hotel that sits on top of Sugarloaf Mountain, the only building in western North Carolina that was built on the mountaintops. There's so much controversy about it that there was rules and laws passed that nobody else can do that to really preserve and protect the mountaintops. Just a neat little fact I learned from the book I was reading. An absolutely spectacular view that was well worth the 6.5 miles it took me to get up there. Leaving the mountainside roughly around noon was chaos, with all the casuals now trying to find places to park. Constant stopping, waiting for cars to pass, and or park depending on where I was on the gravel road. At least half the 100-car long line was parked illegally. But I get it, you gotta get your hike in somehow. Linville Gorge left me with absolutely stunning views, and both calves cramping like no other. A Saturday morning well spent on the mountainside. Again, a place I'm sure to revisit after that experience. After my 6.5 mile adventure up to the summit, I had to return to civilization. As I had yet to eat that day, I was in great need of a meal and some water. I stopped for lunch at the first restaurant that was open, Louis' famous Rock House in Linville Falls. Lunch was eaten fast and aggressively. Post-lunch was spent drinking some ciders at Little Switzerland Orchard, another brewery in my book checked off. Now, I didn't know anything about this place besides the name. Again, I was getting my toes into something a little bit different than I thought. The winery/cidery/brewery is no more than a shipping container with a lean-to built on the side of it. The rest of the 7-acre property was part apple orchard, part homestead, and part campground. Lots of moving parts, with no real structure of what was going on. Not a single project on the property seemed to be finished. But the magnitude of things going on, I think it is more of a constant work in progress kind of operation anyways. I got to have a conversation with the couple that owns the operation, a couple not too focused on making a lot of money, but rather investing in bringing the joys of country living to visiting travelers. My last stop on my drive home, Saturday afternoon, was to Hillman Brewery in Old Fort, which is owned by the same company as the Hillman Brewery I regularly attend in Asheville. It was on my way home, so I decided to stop so I could check it off my book. With Saturday's planned activities completed, I returned again to my apartment in Asheville, exhausted from hiking and driving. I rested the rest of the day and most of the following Sunday, doing my best to relax at least a little bit on my staycation adventure, as starting on Tuesday, May 27th, I start an insane life run. Over a 23-day period, I will only sleep in my apartment twice. To finish up my weekend activities, on Sunday I laid on the couch most of the day. My legs and feet were so sore from my hike that I had no interest in moving. That afternoon, I did my walk around the Montfort Historical District, which is one of the oldest suburbs in Asheville. Sitting just north of downtown, the well-preserved neighborhood is filled with beautiful bed and breakfasts and private homes that have been well preserved since as late as the 1880s. I didn't take any videos of the buildings, as I don't think it is right to stand in front of someone's home while recording. After my walk, I went to the other side of downtown, spending the evening hours bar hopping around South Slope, an area of Asheville that I don't visit often, not nearly as often as I should at least, doing a brew hop tour to check off more breweries around town, some including Wicked Weed, Green Man, The Whale South Slope, and Twin Leaf. That is where this chapter ends, a weekend well spent around my little mountain town, diving into new nooks and crannies that I had yet to explore. With all that randomness being said, thank you for listening. I love you. Bye.